Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Sara Lubratt, and 6 months ago, I left my full-time job working for someone else. And over those last 6 months, I have been full-time working for myself as a freelancer, a content creator, and an author, even though technically the author part doesn't pay yet. So in today's video, we're gonna be talking about the last 6 months and what I'm planning on doing moving forward from this point. Because when I quit my job, I told myself that in 6 months, I would reevaluate. And so today, that's what we're gonna be talking about. If you want to enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit like and subscribe because that really supports my channel. And now without further ado, let's talk about quitting my job and where I'm at now. So a little recap of the job that I had before. I had a job where I was getting paid a salary to be on call 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. And my weekend was exactly 48 hours from 11 a.m. on Thursday morning to 11 a.m. on Saturday. And so my day off was basically Thursday afternoon and all of Friday. So I had to work a lot of weekends, and I had to work on my birthday for the last 2 birthdays, and I had to sleep with my ringer on in case I got a call in the middle of the night or an email in the middle of the night. I needed to be able to get up and do something about that. And even though I don't think I actually ended up working more than like 25-ish hours a week, I was constantly thinking about my job because I always had to have my computer with me. I always had to have my phone and ringer on. I remember going and seeing a movie on a day that was very quiet and then getting in trouble for not checking my email during that time. And I was basically getting yelled at for making any kind of plans during those 5 straight days, including the weekends that I was supposed to be like fully on call. So at the beginning of 2022, I had a conversation with my therapist that was basically like, I don't want to keep working for somebody else. I want to start working for myself. But I think that a realistic timeline is like 3 years. And then I got 6 months into 2022 and I had these realizations of like, I can't keep doing this. So then I was like, okay, end of 2022, I need to leave and try to find something else because this is just not going to work. And then I get to about August and then I put in my 2 weeks. So I finished out August, and then on September 1st was first day of just working for myself. And it has been an absolutely amazing, freeing experience. There have also been some challenges that have come along with that though. One of the things in working for myself and having to set my own schedule and make sure that I'm getting everything that I need to get done is that other people don't necessarily see working for myself as the same as having another job because my schedule is a little bit more flexible. Because as I've been learning, I sometimes struggle with setting those boundaries of telling people like, hey, I'm gonna work tonight, I just need to like focus on this project, instead of somebody inviting me to go to dinner and me being like, yeah, sure, that's fine, whatever, because I've done that a couple times, which has been really lovely to make those plans because again, at my last job, I wasn't allowed to make plans or be doing anything else without my computer. So I have needed to relearn a little bit of discipline, which has been a really interesting process because I'm not reporting to somebody else. I think I said this in my quitting my job video, but I still stand by it. I am very responsible for what happens in me choosing to work for myself, because if it works, that's probably because I made it work, and if it doesn't work, that's probably because either something crazy happened or I was slacking off and not doing what I needed to do in order to make this work, or I changed my mind and I decided that I wanted to do something else. And so I am fiercely responsible for this, which is kind of terrifying. And whenever I think about it like that, I either get in one of 2 moods, and one of them is like very freaked out and one of them is very inspired. And then I just want to accomplish a lot. In relearning discipline, it has been very interesting to try and figure out what schedule works best for me. And what it has seemed to come down to, at least at this point in time, is I get up around 11 or 11:30 in the morning, which I understand is very late. I get that. However, I then work for an hour or 2, I eat my breakfast, and then I try to go to the gym. On my way back from the gym, I run some errands. And then when I get back around like 4:30-ish, I then start working. And then I can have like an entire regular working day of like 8 hours, sometimes longer than that. And I eat dinner in there and whatnot. But then I can just like work for the rest of my evening. And that seems to work really well for me because I like getting the jump start at the beginning of the day just to get a little bit done so that I feel productive and I feel like I'm getting things accomplished. And then I can go to the gym and I feel really good about moving my body, and then that makes me want to come back and work, and then I can just get a bunch done. And then I try to wrap up work if I'm still working around like 2 in the morning, and then I try and be in bed before like 3 in the morning, which I understand some people might not like, but it's worked really well for me. However, the issue with this is a lot of my friends have standard working hours, so a lot of them get done at 5, and so when my friends want to hang out, we are then cutting into the hours that I would like to be working, which is complicated. And I have had nights where I'll go hang out with people around like 7 or 8. I'll come back at like 10 or 11, and then I'll just work for 2 or 3 hours. And sometimes I can get enough done in that time span. If I'm editing a YouTube video, if I'm working on a Fiverr order or another freelancing project, that timing can work for me, which is really great. But then that's challenging because I still want to be social with other people when they can be social, but I also have to try and defend enough time to make sure that I'm accomplishing what I want to get done. So that is still a work in progress, and I'm still working on it, but I'm enjoying getting to figure it out. The discipline and not reporting to anybody else, though, is a challenge that I didn't realize I was going to have. And I have a quote over here that I don't think you guys are going to be able to see because it's right off screen, but on my writing motivation board that says, to be responsible, keep promises to others. To be successful, you have to keep promises to yourself. And I feel like that's true with, reporting to myself in being my own boss kind of a thing. Over the last 6 months, the majority of my income have come from 6 sources. Those sources being primarily Fiverr. That seems to bring in the most money. And then we have YouTube and Instagram. YouTube, it's AdSense. Instagram is the Reels bonus program. I had a few months where I was freelance making videos for somebody else. Affiliates. And then last month I made a Ko-Fi or a coffee. I'm not really sure which pronunciation it is, but it's K-O-F-I. And social media fluctuates, so YouTube and Instagram have been a little, up and down. And so Fiverr definitely seems to be the most consistent income when I'm doing it, because halfway through November, I did get really burned out on Fiverr, and so I had to stop freelancing for like 2.5 months, and now I'm just getting back into the pacing that I was back in early November before I stopped it. And that definitely was a little bit of a financial hit, not taking on Fiverr orders. But I also had to make that decision because I was feeling very burned out, and I knew that I needed to stop doing that in order to not be burned out anymore. And so then when I went back to doing Fiverr a couple months ago now, maybe like a month and a half ago, I decided to approach it differently in an effort to not get as burned out. And so far, so good. Of the last 6 months, October was my best month. That month had 5 income streams. At least 5 income streams pay out because affiliate programs and stuff pay out several months later. Instagram and YouTube kind of both pay out a month after, I believe. At least YouTube does, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I think. Dealing with social media is always kind of weird. Instagram has recently changed their algorithm to not pushing Reels as much as they were, so my Reels bonus program payout has been a lot lower than it used to be, as in it's been like a fourth of what I was getting paid several months ago on a month-to-month basis. And YouTube has its highs and lows of when companies want to pay higher ad rates, because around the holidays, ad rates seem to be up, but my videos don't do very well in like December, but they do really well in like January and February for whatever reason when ad rates are lower. So it's just kind of like a weird fluctuation, which is part of being a content creator and just kind of like riding the wave. Over the last 6 months, the first 4 of those, I also traveled way too much. I was leaving every other week for a week. So I was gone like twice a month in other places, or I was having people come out and visit me, which was all amazing and I loved it. But I was very much taking advantage of the fact that I work for myself and I can set my own schedule. And I think that that was part of learning discipline, was figuring out that I can't travel that much, or at least I can't travel that much and stay in a really beneficial routine for myself. What I've kind of decided is that I can do 2 weekend trips in a month or a week-long trip a month in an approaching travel. That way I'm not getting out of my routine as often, so that it's easier for me to get back into my routine and or stay in routine when I need to be accomplishing things. I also just got back from a trip to Florida with my parents, and I learned in that trip that I can travel with my parents just fine because they go to bed at like 9, and that gives me 5 hours to accomplish work before I want to go to bed. So I can get up at like, 11 or noon, go get lunch with them, go to the pool with them, have dinner, play a game. They go to bed because they've been up since like, 7 or 8, but I can keep working. And it actually worked really well for us. And I think this is just going to be a continued learning process of trying to figure out how to maximize my time. Something else that I've noticed in the last 6 months is that I work way more than I ever have previously. And honestly, I love it because every job I've had before, I don't want to do to some extent because I'm working for somebody else. I'm working on a project I'm not interested in, so on and so forth. And I can have a 10 to 14 hour workday and feel so good afterwards and like, you know, look up and realize it's 2:15 in the morning and be like, oh, I should like call it and go to bed. But if I wanted to, I could have kept working because I'm finally passionate about what I'm doing and I'm finally like really excited about all of the projects that I'm working on. I'm working towards being a full-time author. Again, I'm not there yet, but that's the ultimate goal. And this is a really fun way for me to be working on getting there in a way that I don't feel like I'm selling my soul, because that's kind of what previous jobs have felt like to me. And I get to work from my apartment. I get to work here at my desk. So my commute is a whole 20 feet from my bed. So I save commuting time. I save gas money. I save just time and energy of like getting ready in the morning. Cause like I can work in very comfortable sweatpants instead of like having to like get up and go to an office. And I can be like, you know, doing dishes and laundry throughout the day instead of just working and then getting home and also having to accomplish all of the like house chores. So it's more just like everything is working so much better for me, and I'm so much more passionate about this than I have been about any other previous job that I've held. So working 8 to 14 hours is honestly like so much more fulfilling, which is amazing. That's the majority of the recap of the last 6 months, and so now we are going to be talking about moving forward. When I decided to quit my job, I basically told my parents and I told myself that if it wasn't working in 6 months, I could get another job. It's working enough that I am going to do another 6 months and then reevaluate again at the 1 year point, which I think is fair. I like these more bite-sized goals of, okay, like as long as it's still working, that's amazing. If it's not working anymore, I can always change my mind. But I also like setting a time in the future to be like, I shouldn't overthink this, shouldn't, you know, constantly be thinking about, oh no, like should I go get a job or something? I can just be like, okay, like I'll just see how I'm feeling in 6 months from now. If something happens and I want to reevaluate that sooner, that's great. But also 6 months from now, so me at the end of August or early September, I can sit down and look at my finances again. I can sit down and look at how all of my projects are going, what's feeling really good, what I'm interested in at that point in time, how I want to approach the future then. And I feel comfortable in that, which is fascinating because I feel like I stressed so much leading up to quitting my job. And then as soon as I quit my job, I was happy, and I'm still happy. And I am very glad with how everything is going so far that I want to try for 6 more months, which is exciting. I know a lot of you guys are going to have this question because I did set aside a good chunk of savings to pull this off or to attempt to pull this off, but in reality, just as like a security blanket, just in case things didn't work. And I have not completely replaced my job income from my last job, but I'm getting really close. And I think I'm going to be replacing that here in March, which is exciting. And if one of the payouts doesn't hit in March like I'm expecting it to, then April is going to be a more positive month than that. So that'll be great. I did take on a new project in February that I've been talking to the person since August about, and it's a new freelancing project that's not book work, it's something else. And I'm honestly very excited about this project, and I'm really excited to see where it's gonna go. And when I'm allowed to talk about it, I will. And hopefully that should be sometime this summer. But as of right now, I'm working on a new freelancing project and should be for the next 3 to 5-ish months. And I'm very excited about that. I've loved some of the opportunities that have come up. I've loved the manuscripts that I've been reading on Fiverr. I love making YouTube videos. I love posting on Instagram and TikTok, and I just have been having so much fun with this. But something that's a little hard and a little complicated is that working for myself and kind of being a multi-passionate creative person, there's no structured ladder of what you're gonna do next, which is both great and terrifying. Because if I was in a traditional job, normally there's a job path of, okay, you start at entry level and then you go to like, you know, assistant manager, and then you kind of just try to move up in the company if that's what you want to do. But you kind of have like an outlined, here's how many years it's going to take, these are the tasks you need to take on in order to get to that point. And with what I'm doing, I don't have any of those milestones. I have nothing, not nothing, but I don't have a laid out path in front of me, which again is both really exciting and really terrifying. Because again, at least for the next 3 to 5 months, I have the freelancing contract that I'm currently working on. There is potential to work with this person again in the future if they want to, and if I want to, and I like how this project goes. I'm going to keep working on writing my books. I'm still editing Project DE, and there are steps to get books published, which is a good thing for me to keep in mind that like, okay, at least in hoping to be a full-time author, like I can be working towards publishing, which is going to be great. But over the next 6 months, I don't know what new opportunities are going to come up. I don't know how editing my books are going to go. I don't know what the future holds, which again, I've said this so many times, is so exciting and so daunting. And this has definitely been something that I've had to come to terms with a little bit, and I'm still working on coming to terms with, because in my life, but not in my writing, I'm such a planner, and I need to know like what's gonna happen, or at least like I've always felt like I need to know what's gonna happen. I need to know what job I'm gonna get next. I need to know like what I'm doing with my life. So like even when I moved out to Utah, it was very simple because I was like, great, like I need a new job, and then I'm gonna move, and I'm gonna find an apartment, and then I'm gonna get a new car. Haven't done that. And then I'm gonna get a dog, which didn't happen because a lot of the hikes here you can't take dogs on, which like I thought I would have a puppy by now, but I had a checklist for moving out to Utah. And now being out here and working for myself, it's conflicting because I don't have like a next place I'm gonna be. Like I don't know where I wanna live next. I don't know if I wanna stay in Utah. I don't know if I wanna move somewhere else. I don't know if I wanna do van life, because in working for myself, I'm not tied to where I am, so I could be anywhere, which was part of my issue of traveling a lot, because I was like, oh, I can do this from anywhere, like I'll be fine. But I focus better at my apartment. Therapy has been absolutely crucial in this process, and I'm so grateful for my therapist. And ultimately for the next 6 months and moving forward, I want to prioritize storytelling, and that includes Instagram, YouTube, writing, all of that fun stuff. Continuing to try and figure out how to work my schedule the best for me to get the most done and feel the happiest. I need to figure out some things like health insurance because I'm about to turn 26, and getting a new gym membership because I'm gonna get kicked off of my parents' gym membership. And so I definitely have some things to figure out, but I'm also very excited about what the future holds. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this journey, and I hope you choose to stick around for the rest of it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Sara Lubratt. I'm currently posting 2 videos a week, and I will, well, sometimes, but I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.